Hey everybody, I'm Hugh Brownstone for Three Blind Men and an Elephant, and welcome to the first episode in our new series on budget lenses, in this case Samyang's set of compact full-frame autofocusing moderately fast primes in Sony E-mount. My goal in this series is not to exhaustively examine performance or alternatives, but instead to introduce you to gear you might not ordinarily consider or of which you may not be aware, and what you can actually do with it. Because with tens of millions of people out of work here in the US alone, a pandemic far from under control, and the sharpest drop in quarterly GDP in history, it makes no sense for most of us to strain our wallets on camera gear. This does not mean, however, that photography and videography are any less important. In fact, I think they are more important than ever. But before we get into their 18, 24, and 35 2.8s, and 45 and 75 1.8s, hey, we all have to make a living, a word from our friendly neighborhood department of crass commercialism. First, our Streets of New York, the book, is back in stock. Now, if you're like us and miss New York City, wow, I do. I think you might really enjoy the 82 pages of images I made in the 2 years just prior to going into lockdown. Head over to www.3bmep.com/books to learn more or order your copy. Second, we're now accepting appointments for half-hour one-on-one live video sessions to explore with you everything from portfolio to social media strategy, honing your artistic voice, gear selection, and more. Head over to www.3bmep.com/booking to take a closer look or schedule a session. Finally, if you like what you see here today, please give a thumbs up, subscribe, join the conversation below, because this is a tremendous community we have here. Consider using our no-cost-to-you affiliate links or dropping coffee money via the PayPal link, both available in the show notes below. Better yet, please consider joining us as a patron on Patreon. However you choose to support us, as always, we thank you for it. Okay, back to the lenses, and I will just cut to the chase. Taken together, these Samyang 1.8s and 2.8s are tiny, lightweight, inexpensive, really an exceptionally accessibly priced introduction to prime lens shooting for those of us new to dedicated interchangeable lens cameras, or those of us looking to step away from big, heavy Holy Trinity zooms and the newest Gigantor performance at all cost primes for everyone from seniors, man, I hate that word, but hold that thought, to anyone who wants to shoot light, from street to travel to family to casual landscape and portrait. Did I say light? I meant really light. I meant super lightweight, actually, and unobtrusive too when you consider their size, especially when you mount them on one of Sony's APS-C cameras, giving you a focal range equivalent in full-frame terms of 28, 35, and 50 f4s, and call them 70 and 115mm 2.8s, which is what I chose to do using them on our Sony a6400. They are capable of delivering lovely imagery with beautiful color, nice sharpness, not much in the way of distortion at normal viewing distances, and a very nice quality to the background blur under the right set of circumstances, especially the 45 and 75 1.8s. I don't really like to use the word bokeh anymore because when you think about it, when people wax poetic about the quality of bokeh, what are they actually talking about? They're talking about a part of the image you're not supposed to expend much effort exploring. Depth of field is a tool to draw the viewer's attention to what is important, what is in focus, except for those instances when what's out of focus is the point. It's a bit like evaluating the quality of shadow rather than the highlights of the actor's face upon which a spotlight is trained. The larger point is that these lenses represent a quantum leap in image quality and control, especially at the wide and long ends, 18 and 75 millimeters respectively, compared to their most obvious competitors, smartphones and consumer-grade kit zooms. Images like this. course, there's no such thing as a free lunch, and these Samyang primes are a result of deliberate trade-offs in image quality, autofocus performance, image stabilization, as there is none, and build quality to achieve these results. While they're quite sharp and tasty at a glance, for example, they do not capture the fine detail of more expensive lenses. Shocking. They also do display chromatic aberration and some barrel distortion, especially at the wide end, though CA can be corrected easily enough in a program like Lightroom. Anyway, these imperfections are unlikely to be picked up by most people, but for those of us with an eye, they are readily apparent. Flaring, especially with the short length of the included lens hoods, will be obvious to all. No matter, though, for its intended audience, I think. To the casual shooter or observer, to those of us new to interchangeable lenses, these lenses will probably be somewhere between exciting and exhilarating, maybe even liberating, especially for anyone who prioritizes small size and light weight. Like seniors, man, do I resemble that remark, but I repeat myself because Samyang shared with me this is absolutely a primary target market for these lenses. And I understand. If you add them all up, this set of 5 Samyang primes costs and weighs less, for example, than a single high-end 24 to 70mm zoom, yet are faster with a broader focal range. The heaviest and most expensive of the Samyangs costs just about a fifth of the price and weighs just about a quarter of that kind of 2.8 zoom. For those of us interested in these things, straight up, your back and shoulders will thank you over the course of an afternoon. Your wallet will do so as well over the course of a year or two. You can just get on with it. Shoot. Carrying a couple of more lenses in your pockets or in a belt pack if you feel the need. Hold that thought. But for those of us who seek a set of trade-offs higher on the optical and build quality curves, irrespective of one's age or willingness to schlep, these trade-offs may well be a bridge too far. I understand that too. These Samyang's autofocus speed, silence, and assuredness, along with build quality, while fit for purpose, are not what you'd want for sports or wildlife, inclement weather, heavy-duty day-in, day-out use, or with their very light and quick fly-by-wire focus rings, video. They are simply, and I say this without judgment, it just is an observation, plasticky, non-weather sealed affairs, including, it looks and feels like to me, the lens mounts. They will not satisfy those among us who place a premium on the process and feel of manual focus lenses. Oh well. Let's recap this way. 1. I like primes. I prefer primes. That's why when Samyang reached out to me, I said, yeah, I'll give them a go. All else being equal, primes are faster, smaller, lighter, optically superior to their zoom counterparts, easier handling, that is, within a given manufacturer's portfolio of similarly performing glass, and the best way, in my book, to learn how to really see for a given field of view. I think primes make us better photographers and cinematographers too. Of course, zooms have their place. Events, sports, B-roll, and the best zooms offer tremendous optical performance. It's why we here at Three Blind Men and an Elephant only use zooms, just 2 of them really, excellent zooms, for 100% of our B-roll and 99+% of our A-roll as measured by final minutes produced. Not just great image quality, but more flexibility and less futzing. It's only when we do multi-camera conversations and interviews that we will add a prime or two to the mix. Most kit zooms, on the other hand, offer just price, really. Some size advantage, yes, okay. Maybe autofocus speed and silence. Often image stabilization, but these are not the kind of trade-offs I'd recommend to anyone absent optical performance and significant control over depth of field. 2. These Samyang primes offer a reasonable set of trade-offs for those of us interested in traveling light and honing our craft, from seniors to school children getting their first interchangeable lens cameras. The 18 2.8 and 75 1.8 especially give them options to control depth of field or field of view or play in twilight where kit zooms and most smartphones cannot. 3. The combination of sharp, contrasty imagery when one is looking at the image as a whole, as long as it is not heavily cropped, nor being viewed at 1:1 or greater just for the sake of it, along with the fields of view and moderately fast apertures they offer, will be satisfying to most people. 4. If money is an issue, and of course it is, otherwise you wouldn't be watching this video, I'd recommend starting with just one of these lenses, say the 35 or 45 for full frame, 24 or 35 for APS-C, rather than any consumer-grade kit in Sony E-mount. And then take the time to hone your eye. If you have a little more budget available, I might suggest pairing up either the 24 or 35 with the 75 for full frame, maybe the 18 or 24 with the 45 for APS-C. And if you had a bit more available than that, you might look at the prime trifecta of 24, 45, and 75 for full frame, or the prime trifecta of 18, 35, and 75 for APS-C, because you simply do not need every single millimeter between them to get the shots you want, and you will have more control than a kit zoom. But finally, 5. With all of this said, there are many other choices out there, zooms and primes, that offer a different set of trade-offs, some of which may be more in line with your particular sensibilities. Generally speaking, you really do get what you pay for. Go a little bigger and a little more expensive, and you can get a little more performance, a little richer feature set. Go a lot bigger, a lot more expensive, you get the idea. And then, of course, there's everything in between. But the difference between a little more expensive and a lot more expensive means different things to different people. So in the end, I'm just happy that Samyang has given us these additional choices. That's it.